Dr. Sujin stepped forward as Hyun-woo collapsed into his chair, exhausted from days of research without rest. The council chamber had emptied considerably since the first presentation, with only the bravest representatives remaining to hear more. About the terrifying humans, Sujin activated her own data display, knowing that what she was about to reveal would shake the foundation of everything the galactic community understood about biology. Fellow council members, my team has spent the last 2 cycles comparing human physiology to every known sapient species in our extensive database. The results are more disturbing than our worst fears. These creatures do not simply survive on their Deathworld. They have evolved into living machines, designed specifically for that hostile environment. The holographic display showed a detailed cross-section of human anatomy revealing systems that defied every law of biology known to galactic science. The remaining council members leaned forward, despite their fear needing to understand the impossible creatures they had discovered. Let us begin with their cardiovascular system. The human heart is a muscular pump that operates at pressures which would instantly rupture the circulatory systems of 90% of known species. Their resting blood pressure would be considered a medical emergency for most of us, yet they maintain these levels continuously throughout their entire lives. Sujin zoomed the display to show blood flowing through human vessels at speeds that made several Thalorians chime in distress. The red liquid moved like a rushing river, carrying the poisonous oxygen to every cell in the human body, without causing any apparent damage. During periods of stress or physical activity, their hearts can increase output by 300%, forcing even more of the corrosive atmosphere through their systems. Most species would die from such cardiovascular strain within minutes, but humans can maintain these elevated levels for hours without permanent damage. The display showed thermal images of humans running across their planet's surface, their bodies glowing with heat as their hearts pumped faster and faster. Yet instead of collapsing from the strain, they seemed to become more capable and energetic as their cardiovascular systems worked harder. Their blood itself is a marvel of evolutionary engineering. Each drop contains billions of specialized cells designed to carry oxygen efficiently through their bodies. These cells are so effective at their task that humans can function normally even when their atmosphere contains less oxygen than usual. Sujin brought up images of humans living at high altitudes where the air was thin enough to suffocate most galactic species. Yet these creatures adapted by producing more blood cells, allowing them to extract every molecule of their poisonous gas from the sparse atmosphere. The temperature regulation system is equally impossible to understand. Human bodies maintain a constant internal temperature despite external conditions that vary by over 100 degrees. They can survive in frozen wastelands where water becomes solid and in desert regions where the heat would cook most organic matter. Display showed humans working in environments that should have killed them instantly. Some labored under blazing suns and temperatures that would melt certain alien technologies. Others moved comfortably through snow and ice that would freeze most species solid within seconds. Their skin acts as both armor and environmental control system. It can change color when exposed to their star radiation, becoming darker to provide protection. Most remarkably, it can produce moisture to cool their bodies through a process they call sweating. This allows them to literally leak water from their pores to prevent overheating. Several Vrexian representatives bubbled nervously in their tanks as Sujin continued revealing more impossible aspects of human biology. The digestive system analysis would prove even more disturbing than the cardiovascular revelations. Human digestive capabilities challenge every understanding we have of safe nutrition. They regularly consume substances that serve as industrial toxins for other species. Their stomachs produce acid so corrosive it can dissolve metal, yet they create this substance naturally as part of their feeding process. The holographic display showed humans eating foods that would be classified as deadly poisons by galactic standards. They consumed plants containing capsaicin, a compound used as a weapon deterrent by some species. Yet humans ate it for pleasure. They drank ethanol, which most civilizations used as fuel and cleaning solvent. Even more shocking, they could process caffeine, a stimulant so powerful that small amounts could kill several species. Yet humans consumed it daily in large quantities. Some even claimed they could not function properly without regular doses of this toxic substance. Su Jin showed footage of human food preparation that made 3 more council members flee the chamber. Humans deliberately exposed their food to high temperatures that would destroy most organic compounds. They combined ingredients that should have created deadly chemical reactions yet somehow produced nourishment instead. Their ability to process different types of matter is unlimited. They can survive on plant material, animal proteins, synthetic chemicals, and even substances that would be considered inedible by any rational standard. We have observed them consuming everything from fermented plant matter to aged animal products that most species would classify as decomposed waste. The immune system represents perhaps the most terrifying aspect of human biology. It treats nearly everything as a potential threat and responds with overwhelming force. When invaded by microorganisms that would kill other species, the human immune system launches attacks so aggressive, they often damage the human body itself. Yet somehow this self-destructive response keeps them alive. Su Jin displayed microscopic footage of human immune cells attacking foreign substances. The tiny warriors moved with purpose and violence, destroying anything they deemed dangerous. Their bodies literally waged war against invisible enemies every moment of their lives. Most disturbing of all, humans can develop immunity to substances that initially harm them. Through repeated exposure, they can train their bodies to resist poisons, toxins, diseases, and environmental hazards that would remain deadly to other species throughout their entire lives. The pain management system defies all logical understanding. Where other species would shut down or die from trauma, humans seem to become more dangerous when injured. Their bodies flood with natural chemicals that increase strength, reduce pain sensation, and enhance focus during crisis situations. Su Jin showed recorded footage of injured humans performing impossible physical feats while severely wounded. Their biology literally overrode damage to maintain function, turning pain into motivation rather than incapacitation. We have observed humans continuing to fight, climb, run, and even rescue others while suffering injuries that would leave most species unconscious or dead. Their nervous systems can compartmentalize damage, allowing undamaged areas to compensate for destroyed tissue. The presentation concluded with the most chilling revelation. Of all human bodies possess redundant systems for nearly every vital function. If one organ fails, others can adapt to take over its duties. They can lose significant portions of their brains, hearts, lungs, and other organs, yet continue living and functioning. Su Jin faced the remaining council members with fear, evident in her voice. We are not studying a normal biological species. We have discovered something that evolution has crafted specifically to survive and thrive in conditions that would exterminate entire civilizations. These humans are not life forms adapted to a death world. They are Deathworld incarnate, walking weapons designed by millions of years of hostile evolution. The chamber fell silent as the implications settled over the terrified representatives. They were not dealing with lucky survivors or impressive adaptations. They had found a species that represented the ultimate expression of biological warfare against impossible odds. Dr. Jin stood before the nearly empty council chamber, her face pale from weeks of analyzing data that defied every known law of evolutionary biology. Only 6 representatives remained from the original gathering of dozens. The environmental specialist carried research files that contained discoveries so terrifying she had requested additional security clearance before presenting them. The holographic projector hummed to life as Jinny began her presentation, knowing that what she was about to reveal would fundamentally change how the galactic community viewed evolution, adaptation, and survival. The remaining council members braced themselves for revelations that would make the previous presentations seem mild by comparison. Esteemed colleagues, my environmental adaptation team has studied how humans respond to different hostile conditions across their Deathworld planet. What we discovered suggests something far more dangerous than we ever imagined. These creatures do not simply adapt to their environment, they reshape themselves in real time to dominate any conditions they encounter. The display showed a 3-dimensional map of Earth with different colored regions representing various environmental zones. From frozen polar regions to scorching deserts, from high-altitude mountains to deep ocean trenches, humans had established permanent settlements in every possible habitat on their hostile world. Let us examine the high-altitude adaptations. First, humans living in mountainous regions above 4,000 meters exist in conditions where the atmospheric pressure would cause most species to suffocate within minutes. Yet these populations have developed enhanced lung capacity, increased red blood cell production, and modified cardiovascular systems that allow them to thrive where others would die. Ginny zoomed the display to show cross-sections of high-altitude human physiology compared to sea-level populations. The differences were remarkable, but what shocked the Council was the timeline for these changes. These adaptations had occurred over mere thousands of years, not the millions typically required for evolutionary modification. The cold weather populations show equally impossible adaptations. Humans living in Arctic regions have developed metabolisms that generate 30% more body heat than their tropical cousins. Their circulatory systems have been modified to prevent freezing, while their fat distribution patterns provide insulation that rivals the most advanced thermal protection technology. The display showed thermal images of Arctic humans working outside in temperatures that would flash freeze most galactic species within seconds. Yet these creatures moved comfortably through blizzards and ice storms wearing minimal protection, their bodies generating enough heat to melt snow that touched their skin desert dwelling. Humans represent perhaps the most impossible adaptation. Their kidneys have evolved to extract moisture from minimal water sources with efficiency that surpasses our most advanced filtration systems. They can survive on water intake levels that would kill other species through dehydration within hours. Ginny showed footage of desert humans traveling for days across burning sand dunes under radiation levels that would sterilize most organic matter. These creatures had somehow modified their internal water recycling systems to function like biological distillation plants, extracting every possible molecule of moisture from their food and even from the air they breathed. The aquatic adaptations forced the last Tellurian representative to leave the chamber unable to process what they were witnessing. Some human populations had developed enlarged lung capacity and modified blood chemistry that allowed them to hold their breath underwater for periods exceeding 20 minutes. The display showed humans diving to depths where the pressure would crush most spacecraft, yet they moved gracefully through the water using only their natural abilities. Their eyes had adapted to see clearly underwater while their bodies regulated pressure changes that would implode other life forms. What makes these adaptations truly terrifying is the speed at which they occur. We have documented genetic changes happening within single generations. Humans exposed to new environmental pressures can pass modified traits to their offspring, almost immediately suggesting an evolutionary acceleration that should be impossible. Ginny displayed genetic analysis charts showing rapid DNA modifications occurring in human populations exposed to different environmental stresses. The changes happened so quickly that traditional evolutionary models could not explain them. These creatures seem to evolve continuously, adapting to new challenges faster than most species could even recognize environmental changes. The behavioral adaptations prove equally disturbing. Humans have learned to weaponize their hostile environment using their planet, dangerous elements as tools and resources. They harness lightning for power, tame wild predators as companions, and extract useful chemicals from substances that would be classified as deadly toxins. The holographic display showed humans deliberately placing themselves in the path of electrical storms to capture energy. They had built structures designed to attract lightning strikes and convert the deadly discharges into power for their cities. This represented a level of environmental manipulation that treated natural disasters as resources to be harvested. Even more shocking, they had domesticated creatures that other species would classify as apex predators. Large carnivorous animals that could easily kill humans instead served as loyal companions and working partners. These predator species had somehow been convinced to protect and assist the very creatures they should naturally hunt. Ginny showed footage of humans living peacefully alongside animals that possessed claws, teeth, and strength capable of tearing them apart. Yet instead of fleeing or fighting these dangerous creatures, humans had formed partnerships with them, turning potential threats into allies through methods that defied predator-prey relationships. The technological environmental manipulation revealed capabilities that suggested humans could transform other worlds into extensions of their Deathworld. They had developed systems for controlling weather patterns, redirecting water sources, and even modifying atmospheric composition to suit their needs. The display showed massive human engineering projects that reshaped entire landscapes. They carved tunnels through mountains, redirected rivers, created artificial lakes, and even built floating cities on their hostile oceans. These modifications were not defensive measures, but aggressive terraforming that made their already dangerous world even more challenging. Most terrifying of all, humans had begun developing technology specifically designed to help them survive in environments even more hostile than their homeworld. They created suits that allowed them to exist in the vacuum of space vehicles that could function in crushing ocean depths and habitats. Designed for planets with extreme temperature variations, Ginny showed blueprints for human colonization equipment, designed for worlds that made Earth look hospitable. These creatures were not content with their current Deathworld. They were actively planning to establish settlements on planets that would be classified as completely uninhabitable by galactic standards. The terraforming capabilities suggested something that made the remaining council members consider immediate evacuation. If humans ever developed interstellar travel, they would not simply colonize other worlds, they would transform them into additional Deathworlds. Each planet they touched would become another version of their hostile homeworld. Ginny concluded her presentation with words that would haunt the council for generations. We have always assumed that species adapt to their environments, but humans represent something completely different. They force their environments to adapt to them. These creatures do not survive on Deathworlds, they create them wherever they go. The chamber fell completely silent as the implications became clear. The humans were not prisoners on their hostile planet. They were its masters, and they possessed both the capability and, apparently, the desire to spread their Deathworld conditions throughout the galaxy, turning the entire universe into their personal hunting ground. Dr. Min-ho walked slowly to the center of the nearly empty council chamber. Only a handful of the bravest representatives remained after Su-jin's terrifying presentation about human biology. The psychologist carried data tablets that contained information, so disturbing he had barely slept since discovering it. His hands trembled as he activated the holographic display, knowing that what he was about to reveal would shatter everything the galactic community believed about sapient psychology. Honored council members, if you thought human physical capabilities were nightmare fuel, then prepare yourselves for something far worse. My team has studied the human mind, and what we found challenges every law of psychology and mental health known to our combined civilizations. These creatures possess mental resilience that borders on cosmic horror. The holographic display showed brain scans of humans under various stress conditions. The neural patterns were unlike anything in the galactic database, showing activity levels that should have caused immediate psychological breakdown in any known species. Let us begin with something called neuroplasticity. The human brain can literally rewire itself when damaged. Other species suffer permanent disability when brain tissue is destroyed, but humans can transfer functions to undamaged areas and continue operating normally. We have documented cases of humans losing entire sections of their brains yet maintaining full cognitive abilities. Min-ho showed case studies that made the remaining Vrexian representatives bubble frantically in their tanks. One human had lost 30% of his brain tissue in an accident, yet learned to walk, talk, and think normally again by forcing other brain regions to take over the damaged functions. This regenerative capability extends beyond physical damage. Human minds can recover from psychological trauma that would permanently break other species. They process experiences that should destroy their sanity, and somehow emerge stronger than before. Instead of collapsing under impossible stress, they develop new mental pathways that make them more resilient. The display showed footage of humans who had survived disasters, wars, and personal tragedies that would leave most galactic species as empty shells. These humans not only recovered, but often became leaders and helpers for others facing similar challenges. Their minds seemed to transform suffering into wisdom and strength. The stress response analysis revealed something that forced 2 more council members to leave the chamber. When faced with life-threatening situations that would cause other species to panic and make fatal errors, humans enter states of heightened awareness that actually improve their problem-solving abilities. Min-ho showed brain scans of humans during crisis situations, Their neural activity increased rather than decreased under pressure. The fear centers of their brains worked together with logic centers to create enhanced decision-making capabilities. Instead of being paralyzed by terror, they became more creative and resourceful. We have observed humans solving complex problems while under extreme duress that would render most species completely helpless. Their minds seem designed to function optimally when facing impossible odds. The more dangerous their situation becomes, the more effectively their brains operate. The psychological endurance studies produced results that challenged everything known about mental limitations. Humans can remain conscious and functional while experiencing physical and emotional trauma that would cause other species to die from shock alone. Their minds possess built-in systems that prevent psychological collapse, even under the most extreme circumstances. The holographic display showed humans enduring torture, interrogation, imprisonment, and loss that would break the strongest minds in the galactic community. Yet instead of surrendering to madness, these creatures found ways to maintain hope, purpose, and even humor in situations that should have destroyed their will to live. Most disturbing of all, they process grief and loss in ways that somehow strengthen them, rather than destroying their mental stability. When humans lose loved ones or face devastating setbacks, they go through what they call mourning periods, where they actually reorganize their psychological structures to accommodate the trauma. Min-Ho displayed data showing human brain chemistry during grieving processes. Instead of simply shutting down or becoming permanently damaged, their minds created new neural connections that honored their losses, while building emotional resilience for future challenges. This meant that each traumatic experience actually prepared them to handle even worse situations. The social bonding analysis revealed behavior that contradicted every known law of survival psychology. When faced with danger, most species scatter to increase individual survival chances, but humans do the exact opposite. They form tighter groups and become more protective of each other under stress. The display showed footage of humans in disaster situations where they regularly sacrificed their own safety to help strangers. They would risk death to save people they had never met before, showing a level of altruism that defied basic survival instincts. Their pack mentality in crisis situations turned them into an unstoppable collective force. Even more shocking was their ability to maintain morale and cooperation in hopeless situations. We have documented humans continuing to help each other and make jokes while facing certain death. Their psychological systems seem designed to reject despair, even when despair would be the logical response. Min-Ho showed recordings of humans trapped in collapsed buildings, flooded areas, and burning structures. Instead of panicking or giving up, they organized rescue efforts, sang songs to maintain spirits, and took care of the wounded even when their own survival was in question. The trauma recovery capabilities represent perhaps the most frightening aspect of human psychology. They can experience events that would leave other species permanently disabled, yet somehow integrate these experiences into their mental framework without losing functionality. We have studied human veterans who survived wars that involved constant exposure to death and violence. These experiences should have rendered them incapable of normal social interaction, yet most of them return to their communities and live productive lives. Many even become counselors and helpers for others dealing with similar trauma. The display showed humans who had survived kidnapping, torture, imprisonment, and abuse, yet managed to rebuild their lives and often dedicated themselves to preventing others from experiencing similar suffering. Their minds seemed capable of transforming even the worst experiences into sources of strength and wisdom. The learning adaptation under stress revealed capabilities that made no evolutionary sense. Most species learn more slowly under pressure as stress hormones interfere with memory formation and cognitive processing. But humans show the opposite pattern. They learn faster and retain information better when facing dangerous or challenging situations. Min-Ho concluded his presentation with the most chilling discovery of all. Human psychological systems are designed not just to survive trauma, but to actively seek out challenging and dangerous situations for mental stimulation. They engage in recreational activities that deliberately trigger stress responses because their minds require constant testing to remain healthy. The remaining council members sat in stunned silence as Min-Ho delivered his final assessment. We are not dealing with a psychologically normal species that happened to develop on a hostile world. We have discovered minds that were forged by millions of years of impossible challenges. These humans do not fear their death world. They embrace it because their psychology requires constant adversity to function properly. They are not survivors. They are predators who hunt challenges that would destroy other civilizations. The massive space station floated in the darkness above the blue and green planet called Earth. Dr. Hyun Woo stood at the observation window, looking down at the world that had puzzled scientists across the galaxy for 3 long years. The planet spun slowly below him, showing white clouds swirling over vast oceans and brown continents that stretched from pole to pole. Behind him, the emergency council chamber buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives from dozens of alien species had traveled across space to attend this meeting. The gel-like Vrexians wobbled in their containment suits while the tall crystal beings called Thalorians made soft, chiming sounds of worry. Even the floating gas creatures from the outer rim had sent their representatives. In special pressure tanks, Hyun Woo turned away from the window and walked toward the center of the chamber where a massive holographic projector waited for him. His hands shook slightly as he prepared to share discoveries that would change everything. The galactic community thought they knew about life in the universe. The chamber fell silent as Council Leader Zephyr raised one of his 4 arms. The ancient being had lived for over 2,000 years and had never called an emergency session like this one. His voice echoed through the translation devices worn by every species present. This meeting concerns the planet designated as Earth, which our survey teams discovered 3 cycles ago. Initial scans classified it as a Class 12. Deathworld, the highest danger rating in our classification system. No known species should be able to survive on its surface, yet our long-range sensors have detected something impossible. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Several council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats or hovering platforms. The Deathworld classification was reserved for planets so hostile that even their strongest military vessels could barely survive in orbit around them. Hyun Woo stepped forward and activated the holographic display. The air above the projector shimmered and formed a 3-dimensional image of Earth, rotating slowly so everyone could see its surface. The planet looked beautiful from space with its blue oceans and white clouds, but appearances were deceiving. Fellow council members, what you see before you appears to be a normal world, but our analysis reveals something terrifying. This planet receives deadly radiation from its yellow star at levels that would kill most of our species within hours. The atmospheric pressure at sea level would crush the bodies of half the beings in this room. The Vrexian representative bubbled anxiously in his tank, while several Thalorians began making high-pitched sounds of distress. Hyun Woo continued his presentation, knowing that worse revelations were yet to come. The atmosphere contains 21% oxygen, which acts as a poison to most carbon-based life forms. The gravity is nearly twice what we consider safe for extended exposure. The weather systems are so violent that they regularly produce storms with winds exceeding 200 kilometers per hour. A holographic image appeared showing massive spiral storms larger than some moons. The council members watched in horror as the storms moved across the planet's surface, bringing destruction wherever they touched. Lightning flashed constantly within the storm systems, releasing electrical discharges that could power entire cities. But council members, this is not the worst part of our discovery. Our deep scan probes have detected something that should be impossible on such a hostile world. There are living creatures on the surface, not simple microbes or hardy bacteria, but complex multicellular organisms. The chamber erupted. In shocked voices and sounds, several council members demanded to know how this could be possible. Others suggested that the scanning equipment must be malfunctioning. Hyun Woo waited for the noise to die down before continuing. Our probes have identified over 8 million different species living on Earth. The biodiversity is unlike anything we have ever encountered. Most shocking of all, we have detected signs of intelligent life. A species that has not only survived on this death world, but appears to be thriving. The holographic display changed to show images captured by stealth probes. Cities covered the planet's surface with billions of structures reaching toward the sky. Strange vehicles moved along networks of roads while flying machines soared through the poisonous atmosphere. These beings call themselves humans, and they have achieved what our greatest scientists believed was impossible. They have built a technological civilization on a world that should have killed them before they could discover fire. The images showed humans walking around on the planet's surface without any protective equipment. Their pale or dark skin was exposed directly to the deadly radiation from their star. They breathed the toxic atmosphere as if it were perfectly normal. Their bodies moved easily despite the crushing gravity that would flatten most galactic species. Hyun-woo zoomed the display to show individual humans going about their daily activities. Some were working in fields under the blazing sun. Others were swimming in the vast oceans filled with salt water that would burn the skin of most known species. Children played in areas where the temperature would cook most alien flesh within minutes. The most disturbing images showed humans engaging in activities that seemed designed to test their bodies against their hostile environment. They climbed tall mountains where the air was thin and the cold would freeze other species solid. They dove into deep caves where poisonous gases would kill most life forms. They even deliberately exposed themselves to their star radiation, lying motionless for hours as their skin changed color. Our xenobiology team has been studying tissue samples obtained by our stealth probes, and the results are beyond anything in our databases. These humans are not struggling to survive on their death world. They are perfectly adapted to it. Their bodies are living weapons designed by evolution to thrive in conditions that would destroy our most advanced technology. Hyun-woo paused as several more council members left the chamber, unable to handle the implications of what they were hearing. The remaining representatives leaned forward, wanting to hear more despite their growing fear. Their bone structure is incredibly dense, allowing them to move normally under gravity that would crush our skeletons. Their cardiovascular systems pump the corrosive oxygen mixture through their bodies at pressures that would rupture our organs. Their skin contains natural protection against radiation levels that would sterilize most worlds. The holographic display showed microscopic images of human cells revealing structures that defied biological understanding. Their cellular repair mechanisms worked at speeds that seemed impossible. Their immune systems were so aggressive they attacked anything foreign with deadly efficiency. Council members, we are not dealing with a species that happened to evolve on a death world. We are looking at a species that turned their world into a death world and then evolved to be its masters. Every aspect of their biology suggests they are not victims of their hostile environment, but its apex predators. The chamber fell completely silent as the full implications sank in. These humans had not just survived impossible conditions, they had thrived in them and built a civilization that spanned their entire planet. They had turned survival on a death world into an art form. Hyun-woo concluded his presentation with words that would haunt the council for years to come. We have always assumed that death worlds were prisons where life struggled against impossible odds. We never considered that some species might evolve to make their entire world into their weapon. These humans are not trapped on Earth. They are its guardians, and we must pray they never decide to leave. Dr. Young-soo entered the council chamber alone, carrying classified files that required the highest security clearance in galactic history. Only 3 representatives remained from the original emergency session. The expedition leader looked exhausted and haunted, as if he had seen something that would forever change his understanding of life in the universe. The massive holographic projector activated one final time, casting eerie blue light across the nearly empty chamber. Young-soo stood silently for several moments, gathering courage to share discoveries that would transform humanity from a fascinating anomaly into an existential threat to every civilization in the galaxy. Distinguished council members, what I am about to reveal will make all previous presentations seem like pleasant bedtime stories. My deep space reconnaissance team has uncovered intelligence that changes everything we thought we knew about these humans and their relationship with death worlds. The truth is more terrifying than our worst nightmares. The holographic display showed deep space telescope images of nearby star systems, highlighting planets that glowed ominously in various colors. Each world represented conditions so hostile that galactic survey teams had classified them as completely uninhabitable. even for emergency landings. Through our long-range monitoring systems, we have intercepted human communications discussing their future expansion plans. They are not content to remain on their current Deathworld. They have identified multiple target planets and neighboring systems for something they call colonization. Young Su zoomed the display to show detailed analysis of the worlds humans had selected as potential new homes. Every single planet made Earth look like a peaceful garden world. By comparison, one candidate world experienced surface temperatures that would vaporize most known metals. Another had atmospheric pressure that would crush military-grade spacecraft like paper containers. The humans expressed excitement about these hellscapes. They described the crushing gravity radiation levels and toxic atmospheres as interesting challenges rather than insurmountable obstacles. They used words like adventure opportunity and potential when discussing worlds that should inspire only terror. The intercepted communications revealed planning sessions where humans discussed methods for establishing permanent settlements on planets where our strongest military vessels could not survive for more than a few minutes. They spoke casually about developing new technologies to make these nightmare worlds habitable for their species. Young Su displayed translated human documents showing detailed colonization strategies. The plans included terraforming equipment designed to make hostile worlds even more suitable for human habitation. This meant they intended to modify already impossible planets to better match their preferences for environmental hostility. The most disturbing discovery was their recreational planning. Human communications revealed that they viewed these Deathworld colonization projects as exciting adventures rather than desperate survival missions. They were planning to bring families, including their young offspring, to worlds that would exterminate most galactic species instantly. The display showed human entertainment media featuring stories about space exploration and planetary colonization. These fictional narratives portrayed settlement of hostile worlds as heroic adventures where humans overcame impossible odds through determination and ingenuity. They were culturally programming themselves to view Deathworld colonization as desirable. Even more shocking, we discovered evidence that humans were not just planning to colonize existing Deathworlds. They were developing technology to create new Deathworlds by modifying planets that were currently habitable by galactic standards. Young Su showed intercepted technical specifications for atmospheric processors, weather control systems, and geological modification equipment designed to increase planetary hostility rather than reduce it. These machines could transform peaceful worlds into the kind of challenging environments that humans preferred. The deep space monitoring data revealed something that forced the remaining Vrexian representative to evacuate his tank immediately. Humans had already begun preliminary testing of interstellar propulsion systems. Their space program was advancing rapidly toward the capability of reaching other star systems within decades rather than centuries. The intercepted data showed human space missions becoming increasingly ambitious. They had established permanent settlements in the EITIT vacuum of space-built research stations on airless moons and were actively mining asteroids in conditions that would be classified as extreme Deathworld environments. Young Su displayed footage of humans working in space, wearing only minimal protective equipment, moving comfortably through radiation fields and temperature extremes that would require the most advanced environmental suits available to other species. These creatures treated the deadly vacuum of space as merely another challenging workplace. The reconnaissance team had discovered human plans for something called generation ships designed to carry entire populations across interstellar distances. These vessels were being engineered to function as mobile Deathworlds, maintaining Earth-like conditions during journeys lasting hundreds of years. Most terrifying of all, the intercepted communications revealed that humans viewed the galaxy not as a collection of separate worlds to visit, but as a single vast territory to be explored and settled. They spoke of spreading their species across thousands of planets, creating what they called a galactic human civilization. The display showed human star charts marking hundreds of potentially suitable worlds for colonization. Suitable, by human standards, meant planets so hostile that galactic survey teams had classified them as forbidden zones, where no intelligent species should ever attempt to establish settlements. Young Su revealed the final and most horrifying piece of evidence. Human children were being educated about space exploration and planetary colonization as normal career options. Their educational systems included detailed courses on surviving in hostile environments, establishing settlements on Deathworlds, and adapting to extreme conditions. The cultural programming was so thorough that young humans expressed enthusiasm about the possibility of living on worlds with crushing gravity, poisonous atmospheres, and deadly radiation. They saw these conditions as exciting challenges rather than death sentences. The expedition leader faced the 3 remaining council members with terror, evident in every word. We are not dealing with a species that happened to evolve on a death world. We have discovered a force of nature that treats the most hostile environments in the galaxy as preferred vacation destinations. If humans develop faster than light travel, they will not simply spread through the galaxy. They will transform it into a network of interconnected death worlds. Each planet they touch will become uninhabitable by any other known species. They will turn the entire galaxy into an extension of their nightmare. Homeworld Young Su concluded with the most chilling assessment in galactic history. These humans do not fear death, they embrace it. They do not avoid danger, they seek it out. They do not survive despite their hostile environment. They thrive because of it. We have found the apex predators of the universe, and they are preparing to expand their hunting grounds. The emergency session ended with unanimous agreement. Earth quarantine status would be upgraded to the highest possible classification. Any attempt by humans to leave their solar system would trigger immediate intervention by all available galactic military forces. The Deathworld dwellers could never be allowed to spread beyond their current prison, because they would inevitably transform every world they touched into another version of their impossible homeworld, the Mao. Final log entry recorded by the trembling young Su contained words that would echo through galactic history. We always believed that life struggled against hostile environments. We never imagined that some species would make hostility their weapon. The humans are not trapped on Earth, they are its wardens, and the galaxy must pray they never decide to expand their domain.